Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Mallory with Made by Manny and Mal. In today's video, I thought it would be fun to take you through creating a cup for a cup swap that I recently participated in. It was so much fun to create this cup and I wanted to show you guys what I ended up doing. I really loved making this cup and I love how it turned out. Hopefully my cup swap sister loves it just as much as I do. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for new videos every Tuesday and Saturday. You can also hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we upload a brand new video. I will have lots of links and information in the description box, so be sure to check that out. And that's it. Let's go. For this design, we're using a 30-ounce skinny straight. I've taped off half of it, so we're going to do a vertical split, painted that side white, and now I'm going to apply our glitter using the epoxy method. So I'm keeping my tape on throughout this whole process, and I'm going to just put literally less than 1 milliliter of epoxy on the side of my cup, make sure it's a really thin layer, and then I'm going to take Opal Majesty from Peachy Olive Glitters and just cover the entire side with this one glitter. This is going to serve as the base for our clear water slide stripes later, so I like to glitter the base using a white glitter so that when you use the clear water slide, it looks sparkly underneath. I immediately removed my tape after I was done glittering, and then I let it sit and dry for at least 2 hours. Once the glitter was dry, I taped off that glittered side and base painted the other half of my cup. I used a gloss navy blue and rustic pink, both from Rustoleum, and I just painted them in a simple ombre. And now we're going to glitter this side. So I'm using the epoxy method again, and I'm first taking Bashful from PDB, which is a really chunky kind of blush color, and I'm just going to lay down the template for my glitter. So I'm going really light with this Bashful base, and then I'm going to take Starry Night, also from PDB, and cover the bottom navy blue side. As you can see, I don't have the white side taped off. Our glitter is pretty stuck on there, so I'm not worried about any of this glitter sticking into it. We can always brush off any excess if we get any into that white side. And then holding my cup at a downward angle, I'm going to start bringing that Starry Night down a little bit into the blush color to really start to build our fade. And we're not going super far down into that blush base, but we do want to start to bring it down a little bit more. Then we're going to take Lassie from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is another kind of light pink chunky, and we're just going to start building on where we put that Bashful. Then we're taking Grace from PDB, which is a fine light pink, really pretty color. I highly recommend this one. And we're going to take it, still going pretty light, over that blush base again and just build those colors up to create more dimension. Then we're taking Beta, which is a fine navy blue from PDB. Definitely a staple color. This is one you have to have. It's so beautiful. And I'm just going over that bottom half and then holding my cup at that downward angle and really starting to build that fade and let this color go further down into that blush base. Then I'm taking Rosé from PDB, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with Beta. I'm holding my cup at the opposite angle, so the bottom facing the table, and building that fade of that rosé into the navy blue. So I want this to really blend well. So going pretty ham with rosé here, as you can see. Going in with our next super fine navy blue, this is Deltas from Peachy Olive Glitters. This is really fine. So I'm taking it on that bottom half and then building it up into that blush color, just how I did with rosé. So we're going back and forth between navy and blush here, really building that clear fade and making sure that this blends seamlessly. Back up to the top, we're taking Lover from Peachy Olive Glitters and really just letting this go into the navy blue. Because we've got a really good base of glitters down, I'm not worried that our fade is going to get messed up. Just keep going back and forth with your colors until you're happy with your ombre. Then let your glitter dry for at least 2 hours and spray it 2 times with Rustoleum 2 times clear gloss spray to seal those glitters in. For my epoxy layer, I did 2 coats of epoxy. I did one just on the navy blue and blush side, and then I did another one to seal the white in. Even though we sealed those glitters, I didn't want to risk contaminating each side. So after I did my single layer on each glitter side, I did one more epoxy coat on the whole cup to make sure everything was even. Then I did my sanding and then did another thin coat of epoxy to make sure that the surface of my cup was shiny and ready for our water slide application. We're going to be creating a 3-stripe design on our water slide side. So I got some digital paper packs from Creative Fabrica and just printed them out onto a page. I sealed them 3 times with clear gloss spray paint so they are sealed and ready to go. And then I just cut them out with scissors. I don't do the print and cut method for my water slides because I usually need them to be bigger than the print and cut will allow. I'm just going to go over this method really quickly. I have a full video dedicated to water slide application and tips and tricks, everything you need to know. I will have that linked in the description box so you can go check that out if you really just need a lot of detailed help with water slides. So for our stripes, I'm just going from bottom to top. I applied my first 2 stripes and now we're going to apply the last one. So I'm getting my cup wet just with my fingers with my room temperature water. Please ignore that dirty baking tray that I use for my water slides. That's my water slide tray. And so just applying this like normal, like any other water slide, just making sure that it's straight and that I have enough room on each side so I can trim off the excess and not have any gaps in my water slide. I'm taking my wet paper towel and pushing out any air bubbles, water pockets, anything like that, just making sure that this is on there smoothly. And then I'm going to take my dry paper towel and pat out any excess water. Once I've gotten out all the water I can, I'm going to take my super sharp craft knife and cut off all of that excess water slide from each side. You want to be really careful when you're doing this. You want to make sure not to snag your water slide or drag your knife on the water slide so that it moves. That's why I recommend using a really sharp knife and also getting out as much water as you possibly can to make sure that your water slide isn't moving or dragging around as you trim off the excess. And you may notice that the ombre side of my cup is sanded down. I did another coat of epoxy to make sure that the white side was shiny, but then I still had some more sanding to do on the ombre side, so I just sanded that side down and avoided sanding the white side so we could keep that shiny for our water slide application. Once I've got my sides trimmed up, I'm going to take that same craft knife and gently and very carefully trim off the excess from the top rim. This is probably the most difficult part because this is where your water slide is most vulnerable and most likely to snag and drag. So if you want to wait a little bit longer for this to be a little bit more dry, you definitely can. I like it to be a little bit more wet because it's a little bit more pliable and not as like crusty and dry. Anyway, now that we've got our water slides on, I'm going to let this dry a full 24 hours and then I'm going to seal it with a coat of epoxy so we can go in and do all of our decals. I used about 25 milliliters of CCDIY Fast Set epoxy on this cup and let it spin a full 12 hours before we are ready for decals. For decals, we're keeping this pretty simple because the cup has a lot going on. I'm using this gold metallic matte vinyl from Tech Wrap Craft. I will have it linked in the description. It's one of my absolute favorite vinyls to use. It is beautiful and makes everything look really elegant. We're going to be adding her name to the ombre side and then to our water slide stripe side. We're just going to add a few of these champagne gold stripes in between each of our water slide stripes to give this a more finished and polished look. I definitely should have added my vertical stripes on each side before adding these horizontal stripes. I just wasn't thinking, I guess, and I had to go back and lift up these horizontal stripes to make sure that my vertical stripes would match up exactly where they needed to go and make sure that we didn't have any overlapping or any bumps and stuff in between those things. So I'm just taking my knife very gently and lifting up each side of that vinyl to make sure that I can get my vertical stripe just in the right place, and then I'll trim off any excess afterwards. Once we had that fixed, I repeated that same process on the other side, and then I moved on to our name decal. I like to put my name decals from the top down. A lot of people like to do it with the first letter at the bottom of the cup and then moving up. That always just looks upside down to me. I don't know. It's just totally personal preference. So I'm applying with the first letter of the name at the top rim of the cup. I tried to apply my transfer tape as evenly and straight as possible because I'm going to try to use it to help me keep this decal straight and aligned perfectly. So I'm cutting off any excess of the backing of the decal off so that we have a little bit of extra transfer tape on the top and bottom so that I can place this decal down and make sure that it's totally centered before I actually adhere it to the cup. So once I've got it in the right place, and it's even and straight and centered and everything, I'm going to peel off the backing, keep that top piece of transfer tape adhered, and then hinge my decal down right in the right place where it's supposed to be. So here's what we've got so far with our vinyl work on there. Now we're going to move on to the bottom of our cup to finish that off. I'm taking my electrical tape as always and taping off the bottom. As you can see, our water slide has given us a pretty good idea of where our tape should line up. I'm going to paint this navy blue, the same base color that we used for our ombre, because I want this to all flow together really seamlessly. So I'm using that bottom border of our water slide as our guide and just taping straight all the way around the bottom of our cup. I always fold over a little corner of the end of my tape so that it's easy to peel off later. And then I will wrap my cup in saran wrap to protect it from the spray paint, use this gloss navy blue to spray the bottom, and then I'm going to immediately remove my tape because we're not going to glitter the bottom or anything, we're just going to leave it painted solid. Once that dries, we're going to seal everything with Quick Coat from CC DIY. This is a vinyl that lifts a little bit sometimes, so I want to make sure that everything is sealed in and that we aren't going to have any problems later on. Once our Quick Coat dried, I applied 2 final coats of epoxy. I used artist resin from CC DIY for both of our final coats. And once that was cured, this cup was all done and ready to send to my cup swap sister. I really loved making this cup for Stacy, and I hope that she loves the result just as much as I do. If you guys have not participated in a cup swap before, I would highly recommend it. It's really fun to just brainstorm and be creative and make something for a fellow tumbler maker. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for new videos every Tuesday and Saturday, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.